Hi everyone, I'm Shubham Jhavar. I'm a master teacher at Vedantu. We are discussing JEE Advanced 2021, Paper 1, Mathematics, and the question for this video is this. You may pause the video to read the question carefully. I hope you read the question very carefully. The crux of this question essentially is that the set S1 should be same as the set S3. It's because E1 is supposed to be equal to E3. E1 has 3 elements. So should E3 have the exactly same 3 elements. When you select 2 elements from E1 and get S1, S1 will have 2 elements. That means E2 would have 1 element. And the same E2 is being used here also. Again, this S3 would also have 2 elements. Hence, for E1 to be equal to E3, if you think carefully, it essentially means S1 should be equal to S3. Now this question is about conditional probability. Given that E1 equal to E3, what is the probability, or so to speak, the conditional probability that S1 has elements 1 and 2? So this is essentially probability that S1 has elements 1 and 2 and E1 equal to E3 divided by probability that E1 is equal to E3. So first of all, let's find the probability that E1 is equal to E3. So S1 can be 1, 2 or S1 can be 2, 3 or S1 can be 1, 3. So there is 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 by 3 possibility of all the 3 possibilities. Now, if S1 is 1, 2, what about F1? F1 would become, if you see carefully, F2. F2 would become a set having 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4. When S1 is 1, 3, F2 would become, since F2 is F1 union S1, 1, 3, 4. And when S1 is 2, 3, F2 would become 1, 2, 3, 4. Recollect that we have already seen that for E1 to be equal to E3, S1 is supposed to be equal to S3. Now S3 is chosen from the set G2, which is basically G1 union S2. G1 has elements 2, 3, 4, 5, and S2 is a set of 2 elements chosen from F2. Now, for S3 to be 1, 2, since S3 is supposed to be equal to S1, G2 should have 1 in as its element. And since G1 does not have 1 in it, that means S2 must have 1 in it. So that means when S2 is selected from F2, one of the elements must be 1. And the other can be any of the remaining 3. So let's simultaneously also write the probability part. So in denominator, it will be probability that E1 equal to E3. And in numerator, it will be probability that E1 equal to E3 and S1 has elements 1 and 2. So for S1 to be 1, 2, since we are first talking about this case, 1 by 3 probability, F2 will surely become this. Now, since S2 is supposed to have 1 as its element, so the number of ways, or rather the probability that S2 would have 1 as one of its element is 3 by 6. How's that? It can be 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. Favorable number of outcomes being 3. And it could have been total number of outcomes being 4C2, because any 2 elements could have been taken from these 4 elements. 4C2 is 6. Now, as a result, G2 would be what? It will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because G2 is G1 union S2. And since S3 should be same as S1, for S3 to be 1, 2 only, the number of favorable outcomes is 1. And the total number of outcomes is 5C2, which is 10. And with S3 equal to S1, E1 will be equal to E3. Now let's go for the second possibility that S1 is 1, 3. F2 will definitely be 1 comma 3 comma 4. So for S1 to be 1 comma 3, 1 by 3 probability. Now again, since S3 is supposed to be 1 comma 3 2 for E1 to be equal to E3, that means in S2, 1 should definitely be part of S2. Why? Because G1 does not have 1 in it, and G2 from which we are selecting S3. So G2 should have 1 in it. So that means that 1 should come from S2 only. So S2 should have 1 as one of its elements for sure, and the other element can be anything. So that means it essentially becomes, you may say, 2 by 3. Why? Because the favorable outcomes being 1 comma 3, 1 comma 4, and the total number of outcomes also involve 3 comma 4. So 2 by 3. So G2 becomes again 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5, because G2 is G1 union S2. Now for S3 to be same as S1, S3 should be 1 comma 3. So again, the number of favorable outcomes is 1, and the total number of outcomes would be 5C2, which essentially is 10. Let's go for another possibility, S1 being 2 comma 3. 1 by 3 is the probability for S1 to be 2 comma 3, and then F2 would definitely be 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Now again, S3 is supposed to be 2 comma 3 2. So here 2 and 3 are already part of G1 and hence would surely be part of G2. So here any of the two elements from F2 can be selected as part of S2. However, we'll make two possibilities. Why? Because if 1 gets selected in S2, that means G2 would have 1 also. That means it would have 5 elements. And if 1 does not get selected, then G2 would have 4 elements only, and that will definitely create some difference. Hence, the two cases we are making here. So one case is 1 is getting selected, and the second element in S2 can be any other of these 3 elements. And the other possibility is 1 is not getting selected. Yeah. So 1 getting selected, what is the probability? You may say 3 by 4C2. 4C2 is 6. So you may say half. And if 1 gets selected, G2 becomes 1 comma 3, 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. And for S3 to be 2 comma 3, so favorable outcomes is 1 and the total number of outcomes is 5C2, which is 10. Now, if 1 does not get selected, that means, any of the two elements of these 3 elements, 2, 3, 4 should get selected. 3C2, 3, divided by 4C2, which is 6. So again, half possibility, in which case G2 would be what? It would be 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, S3 should be 2 comma 3 only. So the number of favorable outcomes being 1 and total number of outcomes being 4C2, which is 6. So basically we have covered all possibilities, all cases related to E1 equal to E3. Now in numerator, it should be probability that E1 is equal to E3 and S1 is being 1 comma 2. So that means this first part, that means this expression. So this expression essentially becomes, you may say 1 by 60. 3 cancels out, you get 1 by 60. Now you can evaluate this. Upon evaluating, it turns out to be 1 by 5. That's my answer. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the next question.